Latin 1, noun adjective agreement. Given an entry like servus servi, masculine servant, and magnus magna magnum, meaning great, and omnes omne, meaning all, if I were to ask you to match the adjectives great and all to a given form of servus, like for example servo, how would one proceed? The first thing you have to do is identify the declension of the noun. You do that by looking at the vocabulary entry. You're given servus servi, masculine servant. You look at the genitive ending right here, servi, and you see that the genitive ending of I is associated with second declension. Each genitive ending is unique and is associated with one particular declension. So E, servi, is second declension. And the genitive ending I associated there. So our word is second declension. So we look at our vocab entry again, servus servi, masculine servant, and it tells you that the word is masculine. So the last thing we need to know is what case this form is. So we need to look on our second declension chart, and we need to find the ending on the word servo. So if we look at our chart here, we're in second declension, so we need to find that ending somewhere in here. As we look at it, we discover that it occurs here in the dative, and it occurs here in the ablative. That's a common thing, that the ending will occur in more than one place. But what do you do with that? When it occurs in more than one place, we'll give you more information to help you tell the difference. For example, we'll say servo, and then in parentheses we'll say ablative. In a real situation, if you were looking this up in a text, or if you were reading something, or if you were trying to compose something, you'd look at what the syntax of the sentence is and determine what case is being used in that sentence. But for these activities, all you need to do is identify the ending, and sometimes we'll give you a little help with that. So our word servo is masculine, it's ablative, and it's singular. That's the base information that we need, and our adjectives then have to be all three of those things. They have to match in number, singular or plural, gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter, and case. All right? So our first adjective was magnus, magnum, magnum. Adjectives in this pattern, as you see, they have three forms. Magnus, magna, magnum. The masculine is the US, the feminine is the A, and the neuter is the UN. So you have your three possible genders accounted for there. When these words are masculine, they'll be on a second declension chart, us. When they're feminine, they'll be on a first declension chart, a. And when they're neuter, they'll be on a second declension chart, that second declension neuter, and. All right? So, we already said that the form we need is masculine, ablative, and singular. Because it's masculine, these are second declension when they're masculine. We're going to be looking on a second declension chart. So we look down the second declension chart on the masculine side, not the neuter side. But for this word, it won't matter, okay, until we find the ablative singular ending. We're on the second declension chart. We come down until we find ablative singular. We discover that our ending there is an O. And the answer we find is O, so our form is going to be magnum. Our second adjective, omnis omne. Adjectives of this pattern, is and then e, are always third declension. That's that third declension adjective column in your chart. So, omnis is the masculine and feminine form. Omne is the neuter form, always third declension. Servo is masculine, so we got to use the omnis side of the third declension adjective chart. Remember, your adjectives are a little bit different than your nouns. So we look on our third adjectives. We're on the masculine and feminine side, and we're going down until we match that ablative singular that we were already in. Remember, servo was here, so our answers have to be in this row. The only thing that can change is which column you're in. So we find there that the third declension adjective ablative singular ending is an I. So our answer is omni. So the final answers for that would be magno servo and omni servo. Let's try it one more time with one more word. Let's use dies die for day. Okay, we'll match laetus laeta laetum for happy and brevis breve for short. We'll match these adjectives to our noun. And let's work with the form dierum. Alright, so the first thing was to identify the declension of the noun. We look at the vocab entry. Remember, our second form is our genitive singular. And here we have a genitive singular that ends in EI. We look on our chart and we come down here and we find that a genitive singular of EI is associated with fifth declension. So we have a fifth declension word. We know that the word is feminine because our vocab entry tells us that. So all we have to do is look up what form the dierum is. We look on our fifth declension chart and we go down until we find erum, and we see that we are in the genitive plural part of this chart. So our answer is genitive plural. That tells you right away that all of your answers have to be on this row. Not only that, but remember, adjectives can only occur in these shaded columns, 1 and 2 and 3. So your only three possible answers are aurum, aurum, and eum. All right? So we need feminine, we need genitive, and we need plural. So we take laetus, laeta, laetum. And remember the three forms, masculine, feminine, neuter. And when they're feminine, they are first declension. We need feminine, genitive, and plural. So we're going to be on first declension. We look down and we find the genitive plural ending. So we go down first declension to genitive plural. Because remember, we're starting at erum for the noun. So we come down first declension and we end up with aurum. So our first answer is laetarum. Second adjective, brevis brevi. Breve, Remember that brevis then is the masculine and the feminine, and breve would be the neuter, and these are always third declension. Okay. Our word is feminine, so we're going to need to use the feminine side, the brevis side, of the third declension adjective chart. So third declension adjective, we take the feminine side, we're going down till we get genitive plural, and we've discovered that the ending for that is eum. So our answer is brevium. So our final answers would be dierum laetarum and dierum brevium. Okay. Process is the same for any noun that you're given.